Hey guys, so I'm back, and this time I'm gonna change it a little bit. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my work, and I'm just gonna show you the way I'm doing it with some comments on top. So you just follow along, and you can do the same things as well. It's a good way for you to learn, and in the same time, I won't waste too much time on making those videos because it takes quite a long time. So what we're gonna do this time is there's a competition on the site called Polycount, and I just want to document my way of making this environment here. This is not my concept art. I found it on Polycount, and it's really nice piece of work, and it's really sort of simple environment to start with, I guess, and it's not going to take too long to make. And so what we're going to do is we're going to model it, and then we're going to texture it and put it all into Unreal Engine. And I will record every single second. I must apologize because I will not cut anything because I won't have time for that, and I'll just literally put video as it is with my sound on top. And yeah, so I must apologize for mistakes that I'll make in my speech or in the video. Just follow along and hope you like it. They are quite long, but they're definitely worth your watching. Thank you, guys. Alright, so let's start. First, we're gonna have to find the concept. Music on. Okay, so here's our concept, and so you can download that from underneath, and so we can start. So first thing, I want to know the size of the image and put it into the 3ds Max just for the reference. I like to put my images into Max just so I don't have to constantly go back and forth, and I can just reference it from there. But it's a good idea to try to fix the perspective on it before doing anything to it. So what we'll do is we're going to take it to Photoshop or any other image editing software and just fix it up a little bit. So first thing, it's like tilted, so just gonna try fix that. So just double click on that and rotate it a little bit. Yeah, we won't be able to get the references from here for the walls, but this door here will be our little starting point, I guess. So we could also try use perspective and just try to get it straight as possible. I mean, that should be fine. I think it just should be a bit more stretched, I guess. Something like that. Alright, yeah, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start with making this door piece, and then we're gonna go from there. So let's save this as let's actually just quickly give it a black background so it doesn't distract us much. So just put a black background, and that's another good idea, is just to maybe crop it, just because this part is not really important anyway, so something like that. So we're just gonna save it, I guess, as JPEG. It doesn't really matter because we're not gonna use it for anything. So just do as whatever. It's really important to name things properly, but that's just a concept, so I'm not really bothered. So first thing, we make a plane, and I just want to move it as far as possible. It's around here. If you don't, if you haven't watched my previous tutorials on how to use Max, that's probably what you need to do first, because that will be a bit more advanced. But yeah, you can also follow me along. But so we made a plane, and now I'm just going to convert it to editable poly. And no, actually I don't. And then I want to open my concept and just have a look at the resolution. So it's 1600 by 938. So 1600 by 938. That's quite important, because in Max, if you will not set this resolution correct, then the image will skew, which you do not want. So, and then I guess it would be a good idea to just zero this plane out and just move it back again. And like as you can see, here's our grid, and this is how big the concept is. So I rather not have it so big because it might cause issues in the future, so I'm just gonna scale it down. As long as you scale it proportionally, the size won't matter afterwards. So we're just gonna convert it to editable poly, just go to material editor and find our little concept. Yeah, this stage is not really necessary if you have like good eye for proportions and whatnot, but it's always good to have reference, that way you will not have any issues in the future. So where's our sci-fi corridor? Here we go. And we're just gonna stick it right here. And yeah, here we go. So next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we do not edit this plane afterwards. So I'm just going to go to object properties and turn off show frozen and gray. And I'm just going to go to my layers here and just go new reference. So now we have like this reference plane, and we can just literally hide it, unhide it. We don't have to touch it. It won't be touchable in here, and we have it as a separate layer. So now we can make a new layer and call it door. So that will be our start. So make sure the tick is on the door layer, so when you model, you're going to be using that layer. So just turn off the grid, go in front, so F, and then G for grid, and we can start working on this. So the door is pretty much straightforward, really, because it's quite a simple piece, really. We're just gonna start with making the. What I like to do is to make all the simple shapes first, because that way you can get like the atmosphere going for you, and after that we can go in detail with all these little pipes and whatnot. So in this tutorial, I'm just gonna start with the door, I guess. So let's just make a plane. Right there. So there's one problem here with the concept, is that it's obviously not symmetrical, and we cannot use it as good as we would like. So first thing to do is actually go from realistic to shaded, just so there's no artifacts anywhere. And yeah, so first thing to do is make sure that the shaded is on, and also you want to keep the edge faces off. But what we do want is we want to go to configure viewport, and in I believe it was in, where was it? Oh, here we go. Display selected with edge faces. So now whenever we select something, so if you just go here and just select that plane, you can see the edges. So yeah, so because the concept is not symmetrical, so we're gonna divide this door in halves. So that will be our half. Gonna work on the right side, because the left side seem to be actually more correct, I guess. But you can see a bit more on the right, so I'm just gonna start with the right. Yeah, and if to make the mesh see-through, just hold Alt and X. But sometimes it's a bit too washed out and you cannot see really well. So what you can do is you can create a new material and call it, say, X-ray. And we just set the color to something more like bright, like red, and just turn the opacity down to like 0, almost 0. So if we just stick it right here on this mesh, and maybe lift the opacity just a teeny bit, you can see we can see really well where the plane is, but at the same time it doesn't distract us from the concept behind. But for that instance, I'll just use normal material with X-ray, because it's just a bit easier when you can actually swap between. Another thing I usually do is, like in here in the corner you have color, I usually just set it to black, because I don't like lots of different colors going around, it feels wrong. So okay, so let's just start. So I'm gonna move these up a little bit and move these here, And yeah, this is really simple mesh, so there's not much to it. So we're just gonna try follow along the shape as much as we can. Just add edge loops everywhere. So that probably could go a little bit more to the left, more of it down. And yeah, and here you can see there's like there's a little issue with like concepting, is that you know, when concept artist does a concept, he doesn't have like a real world perspective, and so in this place here, the perspective doesn't really make sense, because that feels like a bridge to the door, but then there's no actual gap between the door. But we'll try to think that this is the area. Okay, so now we're just gonna start chamfering those, and do that. Just go chamfer, and just like that. Here we go. And you really want to get rid of this area straight away and just straighten it up. So if you go selection, and if you tick here on the little magnet here and then select the vertices, you can actually just move those closer to the door. And yeah, so we're gonna just keep doing that. So we're gonna add chamfer here. This one's a bit smaller. Yeah, and try because actually this another one here. Yeah, actually let's Control Z that. And yeah, what's good about this tutorial is it's gonna be more of a diary, so you'll clearly be able to see my mistakes when I do something. So if you do some mistakes, that means you're on the right track, I guess. So yeah, so let's just do it again. So I want to select this and this, because I want these two chamfers to be exactly the same, because it's pretty much should be, because I want everything to be more symmetrical. Sorry. So we're gonna add those chamfers here and there. And so we want the same thing here, just two chamfers. But these ones a bit smaller, I guess. Actually, now we're gonna go with the inside one. So chamfer, yeah, like that. And then just do these two as well. You know, what we could do as well is we could just work on the top piece, for example, and then just move it to the bottom, which would make more sense actually. So let's just do that. So we'll just select all these, connect, and delete that part. Yes, so we got this piece now, so let's just clean it up real quick. So we'll just get rid of those. Just connect that here back together. Select this one, delete it, and we want to get rid of this one. So we have pretty much almost their shape. I just need to move this one, I guess, a bit more to the left. Here we go, and a bit down. So just try to move them like with a line, so everything keeps still stays straight. And we just move that a little bit, and just maybe up a little bit. And we could move this down just a teeny bit and move that a little bit. Here we go. Yeah, that looks like a right mesh. So now we're just gonna turn this magnet on back again, just straighten this stuff up. I mean, this is not really necessary to straighten things, but I find it more comfortable when you have everything straight. That way, like, you know, when you want to edit something, you don't have to waste your time on figuring out what was what. All right. So next thing to do is, of course, we have if you remember, we had to have 4 vertices triangles. Actually, there's one more thing. I mean, in here you got another cut, but we're gonna leave it. Actually, we're not. We're gonna do this as well. So let's just chamfer this angle here as much as we possibly can. And yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to move things, so just have to move that a little bit, and just move that like this. Nah, actually, leave it like it was, I think, because the chamfer you actually see is on the bottom. So when we're gonna do the bottom part, we're gonna do that. So let's just delete those, because we don't actually need them. Actually, before we do that, let's just select all these edges here and chamfer those, just so we have the bevel that is on the door. You can see it here a bit better. So now we can delete those, easy peasy. And yeah, here we go. So now what we want to do is we want to select all the inside ones and just move them inside a little bit and just extrude. Hold shift and drag just to get it running. Okay, so first thing, like, I noticed straight away is that the chamfer is a bit too big. So I'm just gonna Control Z all that. Yeah, I noticed, like, in Sci-Fi, what looks good is a smaller detail. So what we do is we're gonna make it smaller. Not a lot, but like just a bit. Yeah, now we can delete that. Yeah, you can always Control Z things, so Control Z would bring it back to where you were before. So let's just clean it up now. So we want to get a straight line here, and get a straight line here, and of course here. Now we can simply just select all these edges here. You can just select one and then hold shift and click on the other one, and then it will select the whole loop, or you can just click loop here. So just move it back a little bit and just do that. So now we have this part. So at this point I want to make the bottom, so we have the whole thing going on. And you see all these small detail, like those lines and all that. We're gonna add that later on, because that will be in our high resolution mesh. So what I do is I don't want to remake the same mesh twice, because we're gonna put it all in a game engine. So what I want to do is I want to make the low res, then make a copy of it and turn it into a high res. So let's just go ahead and do that. So I'll put symmetry on. And here we go, it's worked pretty much perfect. Just if you click on symmetry here, and you can just click on mirror and then just move it. You can select which axis you want symmetry on, so we want on Y and we want to move it down. That worked out all. First thing I want to do is I want to add an edge loop here, around here I guess, and just delete all that part. So now we only have to do this bevel here, and that will be quite easy. So we're just gonna, like as I said before, I really want to keep it like clean. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just move those a little bit, and move those up a little bit. I know that doesn't look clean right now, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it clean. So just move that here, like that, and delete that part. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna delete all those. So hold shift backspace, control backspace, sorry, and those as well, control backspace. And now we're just gonna click here, and yeah, one thing you'll notice, there's a bug here, so we're gonna put it back in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a quad, and then put one here and one here. So now you have perfectly perfect polygons. And what you want to do now is you want to just move this bit down and this bit down. Just straighten it all up now, just like before with the magnet tool. So yeah, here we go. So that's the door for now. And we can look at it like this, and we can even turn on realistic. And one thing I want to do is I want to just select all the polygons and clear in here where it says moving groups. I just want to clear it all, just so you can see a bit better the proportions and whatnot. So I just want to turn off edge moving as well. So yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Looks quite the same as the door there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start making the high res for it, and then we're gonna bake it down straight away. So we're gonna do each piece really fast, and then straight away put it into UDK, just so you can see the process really fast. Alright.